Hi, Tile from Infidelity here. Today we're going to talk about another headphone manufactured by somebody who is primarily a telecom headset, corporate and personal headset maker, a company called Plantronics out of Santa Cruz, my old hometown. This is the BackBeat 500 from Plantronics. This is a $79 wireless headphone, although the wire's on it right now. Wireless Bluetooth headphone. And it's a pretty interesting little headphone, actually. I'm glad I checked out these telecom headset makers. Recently I did the Jabra Move headphone, which I thought was okay. So the Plantronics BackBeat 500 is a nice little super oral on the ear headphone with and it's sealed. The styling is pretty nice, actually. I typically don't like this kind of angled and bold look with the green and whatnot. They do come in a dark gray and also a white that's a little more laid back, which I would probably prefer. But as these things go, it doesn't look cheap or gaudy or anything like that. The materials are pretty nice. It has a logo that's done in a different finish, a semi-gloss finish over the matte finish of this. The headband pad is over a piece of regular foam, and it does a surprisingly good job of following the contour of my head anyway. So it's a pretty comfortable headband pad. They're very light headphones, 150 grams or something like that. The ear pads are also pleather covered, and by the feel of it, it may be a protein leather because it's a pretty good feel on these, and they are over memory foam, which is actually a little unusual for a headphone at $79. So all in all, I thought the look and build of this headphone is pretty darn good for 79 bucks. I like what both Jabra and Plantronics have done in terms of delivering something that feels like it's got a little quality in it at these low price points. At any rate, it does have one little problem though, and I've already adjusted them so you won't really quite be able to see it, but out of the box, when I wore them, it had too much pressure on the bottom of my ears. You can see that the ear pads tilt, but they only tilt a very small amount, and when they're fully downward tilted, you can see that it's still a little tilted in this direction on this pad, and when I put it on my head, there was too much pressure on the bottom of my ear and not enough pressure on the top of my ear, and you just couldn't adjust any farther. Fortunately, again, because of the pretty nice build quality, these extension arms are anodized aluminum, so they're pretty sturdy. And what I did was I took my hand and carefully held the pad so that it wouldn't put pressure on the joint here, and extended this arm fully, and then very carefully pressed in like this to deform the arm to cause the tilt to go out. And once I got the tilt set right, they're quite comfortable because of the lightness of them and the fact that they're using memory foam here. They did a really good job. So comfort is good if you bend the headband, and or the extension arm, and that's kind of I don't like that very much, that's for sure. But once it's done, it really fits quite well. Accessories, it comes with a cable that's a 59-inch long cable with a tip rings, 3.5 millimeter tip ring sleeve on one end and a 90-degree angle TRS 3.5 millimeter plug on the other end, which is fine. It's a little cheap. It's actually a little long for a portable cable. Usually I like portable cables a couple inches shorter than that, but you'll have to look in the review for the exact length, but it's just a tad longer than I like. At any rate, also comes with a USB charging cable, of course, and sort of a flimsy bag, but at least there's a bag, and at this price you can't expect too much. The controls are mostly around the circumference of the ear capsules here, and on both sides, power switch, pause button, recall button on this side, volume up and down, and all the play, pause, rewind controls are on the outside of this ear pad. It's kind of a soft material and it clicks when you push them like this. I found the pairing to be really good with the Android, pretty much as I expected, and with my iOS devices it paired like lightning. The thing you got to watch out for there is that it can multi-pair, so you can, if you've got the Bluetooth on an iPad and an iPhone like I did, and both had been previously paired with the headphone, when you turn the headphone on, it'll pair to both of them very, very quickly. But it does handle that pretty well. The sound quality is good and the same on both channels. If you're listening to, like if I'm listening to music on my phone and I pushed play on music on the iPad, it won't switch over, but if I hit stop on the iPhone and then hit play on the iPad, it will switch over, and of course it'll switch over to the phone immediately if there's a telephone call, so you can answer it and pause what's playing on the other device. So all the pairing and stuff was pretty nice. I enjoyed it pretty good. No latency on movies and things like that, so good job there. Sound quality wise, in wired mode with a wire attached, it's pretty good actually. A little boring sounding, and sometimes that's good. There's nothing there that's annoying or in your face. The bass is a little boosted about where I like it, but the bass does boost a little up into the mids too far, but just a little. It's not too terribly bad. The rest of the profile up through the mids is pretty good, and into the present region it starts going where it needs to go, and then it starts falling off about halfway into the presence region, about 2K it starts falling off. And what that does is it takes all the sparkle and pizzazz and fine-grained texture out of vocals and kind of makes them a little papery or cardboard sounding. So that's the bit of the boring bit. The treble rolls off, so it just kind of shelves off, not shelves off, but tilts off after about 2K. But all in all, it's a perfectly pleasant listen, and for 79 bucks, boy, there's a lot worse headphones out there. This is actually a pretty good performer at that price range when it's on the wire. When it goes into Bluetooth mode, you get a pretty significant bass boost there, really borderline not acceptable for me. Bass heads might like it. It loses some of its tightness when the bass boost increases. It's probably the capacitive coupling of the electronics or something like that. But it doesn't intrude on the mids as much anymore once you're in the off the wire. So it's okay, but a little bit too much bass there. The treble comes up to that tilt that it has in wired mode comes up and sounds much more. It sounds more neutral through the treble and more correct, except that presence region accentuation of the low presence area that makes the wired mode a little bit shouty if you turn the volume up. Now it gets even more shouty sounding, and it's a little bit hard on the ears when you turn the volume up, so that can be a bit of a problem. And there's also just the beginnings of a little spike at about 6 kilohertz that can put a little piercingness into the sound, but it too is not too excessive. It's just there, but it's not really in your face. You know, it's not terribly fatiguing or anything like that. So in wired mode, it sounds good, but in wireless mode, it sounds just okay. The sound quality is essentially about the same as the Jabra Move, although the Jabra has a problem with a little bit too much bass. It's more of it's an even more bassy headphone. So you have to kind of read both reviews to carefully look at the way I describe the sound if you want to make the comparison there, because it's subtle, but they're roughly the same. All in all, I'd say it's an okay headphone for light duty, around the house, office, basically jaunts to the local store or whatever. There's not enough isolation for airplane travel or anything like that, but it's a okay all around headphone. Probably for people who want a little bit of a pizzazzy look, but I personally think that the Noontech Zorro 2 wireless headphone at about the same price, which folds and sounds a good margin better, is really the top recommendation there. So the Plantronics BackBeat 500 will get a recommendation because really at this price point there's so much horrible stuff, but it's not going to go up on the Wall of Fame or anything like that, because the Noontech Zorro does so much better. If you got $150 to spend, though, the Sennheiser HD 4.40 BT is super cool, and it folds and it sounds way better. So if you want to save up your pennies, you can get quite a bit better sounding headphone. All right, that's about it for me. It was nice to see the telecom people throwing their hat in the ring and actually doing a passable job out there, and I'm glad they're working on it, and I look forward to watching them grow into a little bit better sound as time goes on. All right, we'll see you guys next time.